Hello everybody and welcome back to another World of Warships Legends video. Today we are going to be checking out the Tier 5 Pan-Asian cruiser, the Rahmat. I've been rather enjoying this one, so let's just get on with it. For our command we are using Chen Xiaoquan with Ingenious, Igniter, Sponge, Smoke on the Water and Fully Packed. For our inspirations we are just going to be using Gunichi Mikawa and Francesca Mimbelli for the bonus 2v stealth and the main battery reload. For our upgrades we are using Aiming Systems Mod 1 and Propulsion Mod, so just kind of your standard build. In terms of armour, the Rahmat is an ultralight cruiser. This is an AA cruiser with terrible AA. This has absolutely no armour. I mean, if you just look at the front of it here, it's just blue. You've got 13mm bow, so you're going to be overmatched by everything, pretty much. Your turrets are 13mm, so you're going to be knocked out by a destroyer high explosive. Your Citadel does have 89mm of armour on the belt there, so you might be able to ricochet something, but just the sheer overmatch you're going to be facing, because every battleship can overmatch you, they're just going to go straight through you anywhere, and they're just going to go directly into your Citadel, and you're going to explode. And you cannot tank that, because the Rahmat only has 23,600 hit points, and it doesn't have a heal as well. You have 7% torpedo damage reduction, but that is so low and you have so little health. If you eat a torpedo, you're essentially going to lose half your health or just going to straight up die anyway. Your main guns have a range of 14 kilometers, which is not very good, and they have a 7.2 second reload, which is pretty good. Bear in mind these are 5-inch guns, they're not going to be penning a lot, but with that 7.2 second reload, you do turn out to be a pretty effective HE spammer. You do have some incredibly floaty shell arcs, kind of like Atlanta, which is pretty much what this whole line is based off of anyway. Your torpedoes are the deep water torpedoes that the Pan-Asians normally get. You've got 9.5 kilometers. They travel at 61 knots and they hit for nearly 17,000 hit points. So they're pretty good torpedoes. The only downside is you only get 3 per side, so a torpedo build just isn't worth it like it is on the Pan-Asian cruisers after this, and you don't get the torpedo reload booster until the tier 6, so just kind of a last-ditch effort, I guess you could call these. AA defense, this is a AA cruiser, and your AA is relatively poor for an AA cruiser, to be honest. Don't ask me why. You can only do 32.3 knots, which is, I mean, this is a Dido, this is a British cruiser, and British cruisers aren't very fast. Got a relatively decent turning circle at 580 meters. Your rudder shift time is very workable, so you can do some dodging. Your concealment is pretty good at 10.1, so you can outspot most things. However, as you are an incredibly light cruiser and you're also British, this isn't actually very good in terms of concealment. And of course your main gun range is still 14, so if you actually see it on a mini-map, the detection isn't actually that impressive, to be honest. In terms of your loadout, you do of course have a standard infinite damage con. This is just standard cruiser, there's nothing particularly special about this. But you do have a smoke generator, and the interesting thing about this is it's a Pan-Asian smoke. You get 4 of these if you use fully packed. These do last for 74.2 seconds of my current build, which means when these do eventually run out, you don't have to wait too long to get it back, which is honestly it's quite nice, because you can and you'll be seeing it a lot in the upcoming gameplay of chain smoking with a few of my friends. So we've also got some defensive AA fire here, not really useful. Your AA isn't very good, so honestly it doesn't affect that much. And so I think with that out of the way, let's get on to the gameplay of the Rahmat. For our first game, we are on a shrunken down version of the map Greece. We have 1 destroyer team, this is a down tier, and there is a carrier. So we have got the metal spawn here, and the carrier has kind of messed up the spawns. We've got 2 battleships on the left, but because we don't really want to go over there, we're just going to head over to A, try and contest that cap, stop the enemy destroyer from taking it. We got in a division here of good part of the channel Jamie, who's also in the Rahmat. We're going to be seeing a bit more of him later. So our general strategy here at this point, as you can expect by what I may have hinted at earlier, is we're just going to be kind of exchanging smokes, because by the time your smoke runs out, you could just use somebody else's smoke, and then by the time their smoke runs out, you got your own smoke back. So if you have a division of triple Rahmats, you have enough smoke to last you the entire game. So really, if you don't want to be spotted, you can just never be spotted. Now, we do have a lot of battleships turning up here, and we're going to continue, we're just going to push in a little bit further. Our ultimate goal is to just be able to cover the entirety of his cap with our guns so the destroyer can't take it. Speaking of the destroyer, he is right there. And he is inside our detectability, so when he rounds this corner now, he's going to spot us, so we're just going to slam on the brakes, so we're going to start setting the smoke. Now, Ingenious is very handy here, because no one actually either tries to target us here, which is very useful, because if they had, then we would have noticed, and we probably would have taken some evasive action, but luckily nobody did. We did just fire our first sabot here at Hugo, because he is the main threat to us. I'm not too concerned about Destroyer right now. We've got our Destroyer with us. We've got Jamie's moved up into our smoke here. Anyways, yeah, this Hugo's he's a big problem because, like all battleships can just kill a Rahmat instantly if they look at it. So we really just need him gone immediately, especially because he's probably the strongest ship in this entire game. Yeah, nice fire there. One of many we're going to set. The enemy carrier is going on the right-hand side. I don't think it's going to bother us much this game, which is nice. Not that he can, because we're going to be shrouded in smoke for the majority of this battle. So we are just going to work on whittling down the Hugo. Again, you can already see, I mean, we've hit 44 shells, but we've only done 15k damage, because, I mean, as these are 5-inch guns, they really don't do a lot of damage. Hugo did unfortunately get spotted, and my smokers ran out, so Jamie's going to pull up here, and he's going to start setting smoke again. Now, Hugo here has put out some fires, so we're just going to try and set him on fire again. And as I said, you are a really effective HE spammer in the Pan-Asian cruisers. It's just a line of Atlantis with deep water torpedoes, so really just kind of better Atlantis, even if Atlantis is already a really good ship. So we do get a perma fire there on a Hugo. I think that's a perma anyway. Now we get 2 perma fires here. We did fire some random torps out, and those are going to actually come in pretty handy. So the rear turret on the Rahmat, actually both the rear turrets are actually 360 on the Rahmat, so you can, again, because these are small guns, you do have some really good turret bursts, so it doesn't really matter if you need to turn your ship and get all your guns around, because you can do it pretty quickly. Plus the rear turrets are 360, which is, immediately makes a ship of the year. And we hit 2 torpedoes on the enemy Hugo, which is pretty much just done enough damage to kill him at this point. Surprisingly, they don't actually cause any floods, which is weird because deep water torpedoes do have an increased chance of flooding and destroying modules, but neither of them cause floods, so that's bizarre. So with the Andrea Dorio on low health, we're going to switch our focus over to the New York. Now, we don't know where the enemy destroyer is going. He was last spotted going out of the cap to the left. We're just going to fire some random torpedoes. I expect the New York's going to do like a hard turn in here, but he's actually not. I mean, neither of those torpedoes that me and Jamie have fired are actually going to hit him. New York does, of course, extinguish the fire. And the enemy destroyer's turned up. We're not going to shoot him just yet, because he's not really a big problem. Now, I do, it's always a good tip, whenever you're playing a ship, you know, I was going to say cruiser in smoke, but just any ship in general, it's always best to remember your smoke firing penalty, which for me is 5.5, so I don't really want to risk getting spotted and getting nuked, and that New York's got killed by Mitsuki torpedoes anyway, so it doesn't matter. So now that the cap is completely uncontested, we're just going to, full speed, going to swoop into the camp, farm some XP. Both these gameplay videos you're going to see are of during when I was grinding up the Rahmat, so I don't know if this was fully upgraded. It might not have been. I can't even remember properly. We do get a fire in New Mexico, which it puts out immediately, so we're just going to wait a bit because the Americans have a 20-second damage control. I do turn my guns here to shoot the Farragut, but I believe he rams the island, so yeah, we're just not going to be able to get a shot at him here. So we're just going to switch our focus back over to the New Mexico, and we're just going to go forwards into the cap. I believe Jamie has set the New Mexico on fire, so we're going to have to aim for a different spot, and if we're going to set him on fire, we're going to continue to aim at the superstructure just to try and get some extra damage. No, the enemy Farragut also swooping in here. I don't really know what his plan is. Of course, because you've got some really good reload on these guns, they are very effective against destroyers. Unfortunately, though, the main problem with the guns is just they don't individually do a lot of damage. So, I mean, that's 2 shells there for 600 damage. I think by the end, when we kill this Farragut, he's actually going to have done more damage to us than we've done to him. So just going to put one south wing to there and finish him off.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
Might actually be possible if you just get close enough to destroy. You might be able to dev strike them with these guns. I don't know. I never experienced it because destroyers tend to avoid ships like the Rahmat, like the plague. Now, our destroyer is being incredibly risky here, but I respect it. He's just going to torpedo the New Mexico. We did load AP just in case New Mexico was going to come around broadside to us. Or, well, we were going to go round to him. But he is going to be torpedoes, and he is going to be taken out of the game. Unfortunately, the enemy carrier has also died, which means we're not going to be farming any free damage off of him either. Which leaves just the Italian Ferrari left, who's going to be a pretty difficult target to hit because he's obviously doing like 40-something knots at this point. We actually land some hits in before he dies, because we don't kill him. I think he eats that torpedo from there from the carrier. Yeah, he does. And he's gone down, which concludes the game. $84,000 damage and scoring 2,058 XP for third on the leaderboard in the Tier 5 Pan-Asian Rahmat. Pretty successful game. We did farm some nice XP from the cap, and of course the XP boost we had in the time gave us 7,000. So, pretty good game, and I think we go on to the next one immediately. For our second game here, we are also in a division on the map Sea of Fortune. This one is a up tier with 2 destroyers, 13 and no carriers. We are joined by our good friend the Jamie in the Rahmat, and Brandon in the Rahmat. So we got the triple Rahmat here. I can't exactly remember how much smoke you get with 3 Rahmat. I think it's 16 minutes, so yeah, if you just want to stay invisible, you can. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to push up to the island nearest to us, which is normally what I do in any kind of spammy, high-arcing shell cruisers. You can just lob things over, like, completely flat 90-degree surfaces that you're next to.
Enemy force detected.
Also, if anyone actually knows how to properly pronounce Rahmat, please do let me know, because I'm likely offending all 2 of my viewers who are from Malaysia or speak Malaysian. I don't even know if I have any Malaysian viewers, but if I do, cool. If you're Malaysian, comment down below. So now we've pushed up to the island here, we're going to get a good view over the sea, and also anyone pushing up into B. Enemy Hatsuharu turns up. Now, because of the enemy Fuso there, and, well, we don't really want him to shoot us, so we're just going to smoke pretty quickly, and so is the Hatsuharu. Shelf lifetime is not really coming in handy, so we're not going to be able to hit him at all, I think. We might hit 1, I don't know. No, we didn't. So we're just going to fire 2 salvos here at the enemy Gash Bay. Before we kind of have a moment of, well, what now? Jamie pushing me quite, you know, normally I wouldn't like my teammates pushing me, but it's actually just pushed me barely inside my gun range of the Fuso, so thank you, Jamie. we're going to get to setting some fires here on the enemy Fuso. I believe that was us checking our own main gun range, because I think we were comparing it to each other's. I think this is Brandon's first ever game in RMN, and I believe at this point I remember him saying he didn't like the ship when he'd played it for a collective total of about 3 minutes, and that was it. So yeah, that's Brandon. According to Brandon, every single ship in the game is, oh, it's okay. Like Bugong is okay. Absolute heresy. Of course, ignoring Brandon's dumbness. No way to put it. So we're just going to start reversing. Now I'm also looking behind me here because the enemy has slipped into A at some point, because all of our ships have just kind of left A. Yeah, they've just gone. So the A cap has just fallen into the hands of the enemy, so I really don't want to be, or us three don't want to be sitting in this position for too long, for the enemy to just come round the corner and obliterate us, because there are still 2 enemy battleships that are unaccounted for. And also the Graf Spee is just going to start turning out as well, so we're not going to land any torpedoes on him. We're going to get to farming the Fuso yet again, who's trying to do a sneaky push around the flank here, so we're just going to try and kill him as fast as possible. Now, our allied T-61 does actually kill the Hatsuhara there, which is useful to say the least. That just brings the enemy down to 1 destroyer, because by the way, the enemy had 2 destroyers and we had 1, which isn't particularly fair. But hey, now we're both at 1, so who am I to complain? The enemy Fuso here is going to die pretty quickly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to push kind of into this middle of the map here towards D, so we can hopefully cause some area denial so the enemy don't just push through the middle of the map.
All stations, protect that target.
Unfortunately, our allied Dallas here is going to go down, so we don't get the flawless victory.
Reporting the position of a strategic target. Concentrate fire on the designated target. Enemy battleship sighted.
So there is a Nuremberg, a Pensacola, and an Algeria over there. We're just going to, we're just going to smoke up here because we don't want to be obliterated by the Heinrich. Someone smacks the Heinrich pretty well here. We're going to try and start setting some fires on him, which I believe we do end up doing very quickly. Unfortunately, because he has just put himself in between the island and our destroyer, he's just gone off the map completely. He's gone unspotted. And speaking of destroyers, the enemy Visby's turned up there, which it's a Visby. It's not really. I don't understand how many people like the Visby, because there are people who like the Visby, and honestly, if you like the early pan-European destroyers, then you are a masochist. That's my take anyway. So this Heinrich here is going to start getting HE spammed by 3 light cruisers at the same time. An epic golden rain here.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
Enemy Visby did torp our smoke here, which is very rude, so we're just going to quickly accelerate and get out of the way.
All forces, provide cover for that target.
So the enemy Algeri's turned up here because he's got a pair. I wouldn't really call this a smart idea because we've got 3 cruisers and a battleship over here. We're just going to get one salvo off with our front guns before we answer our smoke firing penalty. So we're going to turn around and just launch some random torpedoes, see what ends up happening to him. Of course, he turns immediately. He's just going to pull a gamer turn here in order to fire torpedoes at our battleship or something. So we're going to load the AP and we're going to get the sit there. Now, these may be 5-inch guns, but guns are still guns, and Algeri's not a very well protected cruiser, so we get 4 citadels there and we finish him off very quickly.
Destroyed an enemy cruiser. Torpedoes to port.
The enemy Nuremberg as well is not really respecting our guns here, so we're going to get the double sit on him. We need to put one more salvo of AP into this guy. Unfortunately, doesn't kill him, but I think it might be Brandon, the man just yoink for kill. Of course, it is classic Brandon. Enemy Visby here, he's in for a bad time. Rest in peace, bro.
Our team has taken the lead.
Now, the enemy's only got 1 cap left in A, so we're just going to push up and push in. So around this point where we have a bit of a brown pants moment where the enemy North Carolina turns up here. Now, of course, this is terrifying because he can just easily delete me. I'm just trying to rely here on Rahmat's armour of being paper thin enough that I might just be able to get away with it, kind of like an Atlanta. We're going to start trying to chunk him with some AP. But the more attentive of you probably have noticed he's not even aiming at us. He's just aiming at someone completely different right now. Presumably Brandon. You know, honestly, if I was the enemy, I'd be trying to kill Brandon as well. We're just going to slow down here and smoke so we can maybe farm some more in North Carolina without going out full broadside for Pensacola, who could easily just clap us directly into the shallow realm immediately. Unfortunately, there our torpedoes did miss, so well, North Carolina travelled in a straight line, and the torpedo indicator did say he was going to, but, I mean, the torpedo indicator is pointing into the island, and I'm not dumb enough to shoot torpedoes into an island. I'm not that kind of destroyer player. Speaking of destroyers, though, the enemy North Carolina is going to be torpedoed immediately, and he's going to be killed. Well played to our allied T-61.
Nice work.
Unfortunately, here we are going to win on points just before we manage to kill the Pensacola. So 2,149 base XP and about 85,000 damage. Again, pretty good game. This is pretty much one of the last games I ever played in the Rahmat. Well, I say ever played. I'll probably be playing Rahmat occasionally here now and then. So, I think we are on to the conclusion for today's video. So, the Tier 5 Pan-Asian cruiser, the Rahmat. Should you get the ship? I think so. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend just grinding out through the Pan-Asian lines just to get the ship, but honestly, if you have to go through the ship, then there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's a really, really fun ship to grind through. Even stock I had a lot of fun playing the ship, which is honestly a massive compliment, because, I mean, if any of you have played this game, stock grinds can be painful. I guess the only thing bad about the Rahmat would be lack of health and the complete lack of armour, but honestly, lack of armour kind of goes for all Tier 5 cruisers. Oh, and also the ship before it is the chunking, which is absolutely horrible. I would make a video on a chunking, but I'm absolutely not playing it. So, If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel if you would be so inclined. And I will see you in the next video. Toodaloo, au revoir, bye bye.